Happy Monday, everyone. It is Linda Joy Benn, and welcome to another episode of Soulful Ascension. It is great to be here. I'm actually coming to you from Petaluma, California. I arrived in the US last week, and it's been a bit of a whirlwind since I arrived. So, this week's energy, we are going to talk about the full moon on April the 1st or the 2nd, if you are in Australia or other parts of the world, as well as the energy of April with all the Aries planets. We have 9 planets all in Aries and they're all direct. So that's why we're feeling the intensity of this energy. And plus, the fire energy is also, we are on the fire horse with the Chinese astrology. So there's a lot happening. And as we look out to the external world, there is a lot happening in the external world. So I will briefly talk about the elephant in the room, which is the war, which unfortunately seems to be escalating, though it is playing out the way that it needs to, because this is the destruction, the darkness, the shadows that we have been experiencing for the last 10, 12,000 years. So I'll briefly talk about that, and also just give you some tips and tools that you can do to help to ground and be able to embody these tools through this intense energy, because and it's the embodiment that will help you to get through this month, especially when there's so much turbulence and happening, and so much destruction, and it may seem like doom and gloom, but like I've said in other videos, do not focus on all the doom and gloom, and the chaos, because then you're just feeding it. Remember, we are a collective, and mass consciousness of our consciousness, we create our reality. So, together as one collective energy in this journey that we're all on, we are the creators of what's happened right now. And so that's what I'll go into deeper in this episode, because I want to talk about it from a different perspective. So instead of blaming or pointing the finger or even speaking about others, it's not about taking sides, and then speaking hatred language, or judging. But this is the darkness that needs to come to the surface in order for us to create the new earth that we're all moving into. And this starts with us. So, our relationship with ourselves, and this full moon that we have this week is in Libra. Libra is always the scales of balance, it's the scales of justice. And isn't it interesting that we have 9 planets all in Aries, all fire signs, and there's all this fire energy and rage and a lot of fire triggering, all coming to the surface. So this is what we are moving through. We've done a lot of purging, a lot of releasing, a lot of letting go. But what we are feeling with this full moon in Libra is about balancing and really coming back into balance in ourselves, the right relationship with ourselves, as well as then we can have love and compassion with others. But with Libra, it's a lot about relationships. And this is where looking at all relationships in your life, are they balanced? And looking at every area in your life, because everything starts with us, the relationship with yourself, and then how you see the world and your perception and your outlook on life, and how balanced are your thoughts. Because if you are thinking negative thoughts, fearful thoughts, angry thoughts, being triggered and judging and controlling and the power over, and we've talked about this before, that's out of balance, it's out of harmony. And so this is what we are all experiencing and going through right now. And I really ask you to feel, to feel what you're feeling in your body so that you can make the right choices. Make the choices for your highest good and destiny, and for the highest good and destiny of everyone involved. And it's not about the power over or even taking sides. This is what created all what's going on in the world, is greed, corruption, lies, deceit, division, separation, the power over, even power over taking over land and different countries. And the wars have been going on for about 12,000 years. So if you follow Heather Ensworth, she talks about the Kali Yuga cycle, and we actually are ending that cycle. But this is the death and destruction for us that we are currently experiencing and going through and witnessing and observing right now, because this is what we are clearing right now in order to create the new earth. So back in Atlantis, we destroyed the earth because of greed and corruption and wanting to rape and pillage and conquer other lands. Well, can you see what's happened right now is a repeat of history, where again we are repeating history. And this is where the consciousness of humanity is so important. We are all responsible for everything that is occurring in the world right now. And this is about you taking responsibility for your thoughts, for your consciousness, for those old wounds that you are still creating these outcomes that are all fear-based. Remember, there's only two emotions, love and fear. Now, if you are acting out or being triggered or doing behavior that is unloving, anything opposite to love is coming from fear. And this is where your relationship with yourself starts with you, and you really doing some deep inner work. This is the soul wounds. This is your inner child. This is looking at those old patterns that we are still playing out. And this can also go back to all through the generations, all through the ancestors. So what we are experiencing and observing on the planet right now is all the old fearful patterns, these old wounds that are coming to the surface, all based on fear and greed and deception and lies and corruption, etc., in order to clear. But this is where the shadow work is so important, when we can clear our own shadows, because our true essence is love and light. We are full of light, but it's the shadow aspects that we are here to heal. And this is the inner work. This is where we take responsibility for every choice that we make in this lifetime. And only us as an individual can make those choices. So if you are projecting out any fearful language, talking about fearful stories, talking about any hatred towards another, well, then that's what's feeding this energy. And this is why I say remain neutral. You know, we've all gone through a lot of trauma, a lot of karma that we are clearing, and these old karmic wounds are coming up even stronger to be cleared. So the actual war that is happening right now is a combination of all the old, I mean, of 12,000 years of all the old wounds and the shadows all coming to the surface in order for us to make a new choice. And the new choice is, do I choose love, peace, and joy? Or do I choose to stay angry, to stay resentful, to stay judgmental, controlling, power over, narcissistic, do deceitful behavior, lie, etc. You get the picture. Everyone has a choice. And when we came here on this earth, we knew that it was a dual reality of the light and the dark. Now, isn't it interesting? We just had the equinox in March the 20th, and that's a balance of the light and the dark. And now we're at the end of March, and we are really seeing the darkness amplified. But what are you focused on? And because you are the creator and you receive what you focus on, what you're giving energy to, what are you giving power to? And this is why I said, maybe do a digital detox. Stop watching all the doom and gloom videos, and anyone who is projecting their opinions onto somebody or about somebody, you have a choice. Cancel, delete, nope, not subscribing into that. I choose to live in love, joy, and peace. Now, it's not about putting your head in the sand. This is where you have your opportunity to go, okay, we are all co-creators in this life. We are all creating what's going on because of mass consciousness. What shadow areas do I have within me that created the war at the moment? And then really do some deep inner work. And this is where you clear those old patterns. This is the deeper work that I work with my one-to-one coaching clients, but I also touch on it in all my courses. And so March was all about forgiveness. And then April is about the flow with the energy. So if you're interested in joining me next Tuesday, that's Pacific time, for a free masterclass, I'll put the link down below for the flow workshop. And the masterclass, which is next week. So I do a free masterclass first and then teach the workshop on the Saturday. But it's all about learning the tools in order for you to flow with the energy, to flow with what's going on, because this is a death and a rebirth. And this is what we are feeling right now. So the old wounds and the patterns, which we've spoken about over and over, especially with relationships, is the people pleasing, the over giving, and then either feeling guilty because you repeated an old pattern, or over giving and then beating yourself up and judging yourself. Um, and then there's the the old pattern of wanting to belong. So you just keep saying, yes, yes, I'll keep giving and giving. But if your cup is empty, you cannot give from an empty cup. And this is what causes burnout. And burnout is another area which I help a lot of my clients with, because it's the overgiving and the people pleasing pattern that is still running, and you're already depleted. Your nervous system is just fried. You're emotionally just drained, energetically, physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, just depleted. And this is where the self-regulation of your nervous system is so important. And just sitting and breathing and doing some breath work and meditation will help to bring you back into balance, being out in nature. And so I said, because next Sunday for Easter, I'm going to actually go to church, and I'm not a regular church goer, but I'm going to go to church on Easter Sunday because I feel that the energy is really powerful around the Easter time. And actually, here's a bit of trivia. It always follows after the full moon and after the equinox. And so that's why Easter, the dates of Easter always keep changing, because it goes with the cycle of the full moon. And so where was I going with that? So coming back to nurturing you, and this is why I created the Benn method, is balance, energy, nurture, and nourish. And these four pillars is the foundation that will help you to get through these turbulent times. And looking at the areas in your life that are out of balance, and what new choices can you make? Because it's looking at what's working, what's not working, where in your lifestyle is out of balance, which relationships are out of balance and draining you, which relationships no longer are in alignment with you, which relationships just leave you feeling so depleted, or maybe feeling resentful within yourself and judging yourself for always saying yes when you really meant no. But the old pattern and the cycle is still running. Go, oh yes, okay, I'll do that. And you're already overcommitted. This is the imbalance that we are healing and clearing right now. And this will definitely affect your energy. And then nurturing and nourishing. This is all about self-love. So where can you nurture and nourish yourself and give yourself self-love? Honor you first before giving out to others. And this is what we can burn for the full moon. I know every full moon we always do a burning, but maybe ask yourself, what relationships are out of balance and who else do you need to let go of? This is maybe cleaning out your friends groups on social media, or unfollowing toxic people, or people that are always judging others and projecting onto others and very opinionated. Everyone's got an opinion. Everyone is entitled to their opinion because this is based on their beliefs. Though when you're coming from a place of balance and harmony within yourself and what feels true for you, these are the deeper questions that only you can answer. It's got nothing to do with someone else's opinion, but it depends what you're giving your energy to. Maybe you're giving your power away to someone else and their opinion you're taking on. Whereas when you listen to your true self and go, "Whoa, I feel really uncomfortable constantly hearing this same context, or the judgment, or the criticism, or all the doom and gloom," and make a choice, and make a new choice to stop watching those videos or to stop following those people, because the energy in April is fast and furious, but also so intense and so dynamic. And the choices that you make on all levels will dictate how you feel on a daily basis, how you sleep on a daily basis, how you show up, and how you are being on a daily basis. So if you're waking up already cranky, already feeling negative, already exhausted, feeling burnt out and tired before you even get out of bed, that's an indication that you are out of balance. And this is where, look at all areas in your life. What are you giving energy to? What are you feeding into? Because it's just going to amplify. It's just putting more fuel on the fire, right? And April is a big fire month. So, but when you're grounded, when you're centered, when you're in alignment, when you're listening to your higher self and your truth, then you can get on that fire horse, sit in the saddle, and gallop towards what you are creating and manifesting in your life. Because this is a powerful month of taking action. But if you're putting energy into areas that are negative, well, then you just create more of that energy. So these are the choices that you get to make right now, and to stop and feel, what are you feeling in your body before making that choice. I hope this makes sense, because I understand the energy is really intense, and we are all going to get through this. But it requires us all to do our own deep inner work. and to just pull our energy back. So this is where the slowing down, and we've done a lot of karmic burn, we've done a lot of reflection, we've done a lot of purging, clearing, releasing, and guess what? There's more. There's more. Otherwise, if we'd cleared everything on the planet, we would not be escalating this war. We would be moving into a resolution. So, what's happening in out there in the external world is a reflection of what's happening internally. And this is where we each need to do our own inner work in order to feel what you're feeling in your body, and just what you can burn, you can meditate, you can shift the energy out of your body with movement, dance, exercise, running up and down stairs, punching a punching bag, kicking the bed, whatever way works for you. If it's more gentle, it's yoga or Pilates. If you want more uplifting, to add some music, it's the dance. Any kind of movement will help to shift the energy. Just keep moving your body. Maybe it's just a gentle walk, but being out in nature. And because my church is nature, and so being out in nature and just connecting with the trees and just talking to the trees, talking to the nature spirits, talking to the flowers, and admiring, the beautiful green grass, or even if it's a weed, it's like it's all still part of nature. And when you can just appreciate the beauty around you, that will just help to bring you back into harmony and balance within yourself. So this is a big time of endings and new beginnings, the completion of old cycles, of old patterns, of old soul wounds, and what we're clearing out is so critical at this time. And so whatever tools, practices that work for you, I strongly recommend you practice it on a daily basis, maybe several times during the day. Whatever your body is screaming out for, and maybe you just spontaneously go, I've just got to go for a power walk around the block, and whatever it is that works for you, or run up and down stairs, just to help to shift the energy and just do what works for you. Okay. I'm going to choose a couple of cards, and let me just check what else. So, yeah, what changes do you choose to make at this time for your lifestyle? Maybe it's a change in environment. Maybe it's a change in where you live. Maybe it's a change in your career or your job or your workplace, or the food that you eat, or your daily routine, or your sleep pattern. Or so this is all the questions to ask. Okay, is this balanced, and which is out of balance, and just keep checking in, because it's, do you have a balanced diet? Do you balance the amount of water that you drink opposed to caffeine? The balance of how much sleep you get, and how much are you giving out into the world, and how much are you actually nurturing and nourishing yourself to recharge and replenish and recalibrate your energy. And so if it's out of balance, this will lead to burnout. And so really feel into what your body is telling you. Your body is the messenger. Your body is giving you the information in order for you to make those choices and make the changes and make the choices that feel good for you. Maybe the logical mind goes, I don't know why I'm doing this, but I'm just going to give it a go and I'm going to do it anyway. And so they're the small changes that you can make in order to move forward and make new daily habits. So this is what we are clearing and releasing and just purging out. Okay, I'm going to choose a card from the Psychic Tarot, and I did pull a couple of cards earlier, and I got two of the cards, balance and harmony. And it was like, interesting. Right before I put the video on, I thought I'll just choose a couple of cards. So we have authority. You you have the authority within yourself because you are the authority to make the choices within yourself. And this is very interesting because this is where the power over and the control it has been playing out on the planet, where we've given our power away to others in authority in order for them to make choices and to tell us what to do and to tell us to just follow their orders and to comply. So the authority, which is one of the major arcana cards, it's interesting that this has come up because this is where the old system is breaking down and the power over structures are all crumbling. It's going to get noisier and louder if before it becomes lighter. And this is where the old leadership structures, the authority is all crumbling. And it's a bit like just say an engine is about to just explode, and there's a lot of noise, there's a lot of bangs, there's a lot of rattles, and it is noisy. And that's what we're seeing in the external world, because then the engine stops and implodes or blows up or whatever it is. So that's exactly what is happening right now. So the authority, this card represents the masculine qualities of leadership, which we are seeing in the world. Logic, strength, wisdom, and power. When this card emerges, it acts as a teaching tool, and in so doing, it is encouraging you to develop or reignite these qualities and tap into the masculine aspects of yourself. Other traits also included are good reasoning and problem-solving skills, being grounded, and learning to develop strong mental control over free-reigning emotions. Oftentimes, this card appears to symbolize a father figure or an individual of wise authority who may be present in your life. It could also be someone of high influence in business or a prudent friend who uses logic and reason to create a positive outcome. Ask yourself whether it's time to take on and emulate similar qualities. Now is when you must act like a leader and exert your will by incorporating form and structure into ideas, plan, and foundations. It's time to stop talking and act in order to achieve what you must. Use the qualities and character of the authority card so that when you need to make a choice, you approach it from a place of wisdom, rationality, logic, and grace rather than one of foolishness, belligerence, greed, or self-centeredness. The way in which you acquire, handle, and wield power and authority is now being tested. So in the tarot, this is also the Emperor, and and going back to the balance, it's the balance of the masculine and the feminine, and the balance of where you're giving your energy to, and are you standing in your power? And this is where the power is coming back to the individual people. And this is where those old structures of this leader makes all the decisions, that's all bring dissolving, crumbling, dismantling. That's why the outside world is noisier right now, and it is intense as we observe it. But do not get caught up in it, because it will affect your nervous system. It'll affect uh, your mental well-being. So do your own inner work, and like I said, whatever daily practices you can continue to do to stay balanced and in harmony with yourself. And you will know because you feel it. These are the new choices that you're making. Also, with the Aries and the fire energy, it is an amazing time to manifest and take action on things, as long as it's in alignment for your highest good and the highest good for all. Okay, I'm going to choose another card from the Angel Guide, and let's see which one. Hmm. Haha. Very interesting. So I got no. Now, usually when you're asking a question, a specific question, like a yes or a no, um, no. And I was thinking about, well, April is all about new choices. It's about expansion, in your soul's experiences. We've all had many, many lifetimes. And like I mentioned, with Atlantis being destroyed 12,000 years ago, and will we repeat this history? And there's the answer, no. We are moving into harmony. This has to play out in order for us to create the new earth that we are all creating. But there is some cleaning up, some more purging out that every single human needs to do in order for us to create the new earth. And this is the energy for us to take responsibility and going, okay, how am I responsible for what's going on in the world, and how can I show up with more love and compassion for everybody? And what changes can I make so I'm not feeding the energy of judgment or hatred or even speaking any negativity and even thinking negative thoughts will feed the energy. And this goes back to what old patterns and beliefs and stories are you telling yourself? And is there some anger and resentment from old wounds, from maybe past lives that still require some forgiveness work, for understanding, for you to come into peace and neutrality? So slow down in order to feel what your body is telling you, and only you will know, because this is, you need to really drop into your body's wisdom in order to listen to the messages that are coming through. And that's what we're all feeling right now. So slow down, and when it comes to making new choices, just take a moment, just step back and just feel into, is this choice for my highest good and destiny, and the highest good and destiny for all and for the earth? And if you get a yes, then take action. If you get a no, don't move ahead. And so that, on that note, I will finish up, and just sending you so much love and compassion, and wishing you miracles and magical moments, and just keep focusing on what you choose to create, and choose what world do you choose to live in. And that's the higher choices that we get to make on a daily basis. And this is how we can create the new earth that we all deserve to live in, with peace and love and joy and harmony, with no war, no conflict, and where everyone is living in harmony and helping each other. And it's unity consciousness. And that's what we're moving into. If you just keep focused on that end result, that's together we will create the new earth. I will see you next Monday. Have a magical week, and happy Easter wherever you are spending Easter. Sending much love, many blessings. Bye for now.